We are backstage at 22 Minutes with one of the stars. Mark Critch, how you doing?
Great. This is a prop room. You need lots of props. This is Canada, so you need a curling stone. But look, it's fake. My hand is fake. It's all lies, like politics.
It's not all lies, but we have lots of questions for Mark right after this.
There's a few unnecessary things in schools nowadays, you know.
Mark Critch comes from that long line of great Newfoundland comics.
You big baby, you big baby.
John Baird just ran away from me.
He ran onto the national stage 20 years ago, chasing politicians on This Hour Has 22 Minutes.
All right, you go get your chopper. Love you, buddy.
Porn actors
Taking the news and adding a punchline.
saying they have no idea how the bugs got in the soup, since everyone knows insects come with the chili.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And now his second primetime show, bringing his quirky childhood to life, now in its second season.
Mary! I don't have all day here. What is it?
He's a busy guy, but he took a break to chat on the 22-minute set in Halifax.
So you've been a performer on this program for almost 20 years. So you've gone from being the youngest guy in every room to like maybe the oldest guy. How does that feel?
It's interesting because I still think of myself as a young guy.
Yeah.
22 was such a thing when I joined 10 years in that I always felt like I was house sitting and trying to fit into it and not really get in the way or not be too much of yourself. And it's like house sitting and you're afraid to put your feet up on the table and then you realize, oh, I've been here a while, I can put my feet up on the table and the actual owners never come back. So now it's just you're squatting. That's what I feel like. I feel like at any moment now, Rick and Mary will come back and say, what are you doing here? Get out of here.
And given all the skits you've done, all the interviews you've done, how has that changed you? Like, you find yourself like angrier, calmer? What would you say?
I probably think all the interviews and stuff I've done have made me calmer. I think at first it seems like you're in there to slay a dragon, you know? The prime minister is, you know, he's this big creature, he's this historical figure, and you're just some little comedian from Newfoundland and you gotta insult him on the run. Did your parents put you in boxing lessons so that Joe Clark's daughter would stop beating you up? And now the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, whom I've been interviewing from before he was even in politics. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, you're this guy, okay, and you've been through this thing, and I have an understanding of you as a person more so than the institution of being the Prime Minister.
Just wondering, the question I wanted to ask you is, where around here can a fella
You're kidding.
light up?
And then I realized that people are just now people trying to do their best. Might have differences of opinion than you, but generally they're thinking that it's their way is the right way or trying to survive. So yeah, I think it's less black and white and more gray, the world, as the more I learn about it through talking to people.
Yeah, it's funny, you think the world, you know, is more gray, but outside of your head, it feels more polarized than ever. I mean, as a satirist, as a comedian, does that make it tougher?
I think people are in the middle. I think real people, like Twitter, isn't real, right? And politicians aren't real, and pundits aren't real, especially in this world where things are hyper divisive, one side or the other. And I think but the average person you meet, they're just trying to make ends meet. And I think really the reality is grayer than media would have it appear to be.
But when you finish, when an episode of 22 Minutes, for example, airs, like, is there a moment where you kind of think, okay, I'm not sure if I want to look at my phone now or watch, you know, whatever the reaction is and kind of...
I used to be like that. I used to be way more into Twitter and stuff like that, you know? And I'd be fighting back with people and they'd say something and I'd say, that's not true, and yeah, and I go, I got that person. And then I realized, what am I doing? Because when you get out in the real world, nobody knows what you're talking about. Yeah. It's a small group. In the old days, I used to get letters. I've been doing this long enough. I used to get letters or postcards. And man, you've got to be pretty upset with someone to go, that Critch, where's that film? Nova Scotia on Bell Road, you say? Oh, well, what's the postal code for that? Well, I'm going to buy a stamp. And that's when they're mad. But when anybody can just fire something off, what I find is I think I'm being fair if I get a bunch of people who are liberal saying, I pick on Justin too much, and then a bunch of people who are conservative saying you don't pick on him enough. And if those numbers are generally about the same, you're doing all right.
Let's take you back to a more innocent time before Twitter.
Yeah.
And your audition tape for 22 minutes.
Yes.
Which was actually funny.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Welcome to This Audition Tape Has 5 Minutes.
Yeah, I thought, Rick Mercer was leaving, right? And so people in Newfoundland were like, oh, you should try, this is yours, you should do this.
Now moving across the island portion of the province.
I took my shirt off. I went very desperate. I was a weatherman, and I drew a Newfoundland weather map on my chest. And I thought, okay, I know I can do this because I'd been writing sketches and performing, and I'd been doing like topical commentaries locally. And I thought, okay, well, this is something, if I can get there, I think I can do it.
Hurry, 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 pour.
Can you sign my golf ball?
Has this always been here?
Well, let's talk about Son of a Critch. First of all, the book, so good. What did I ask you? Did you write it yourself?
You did ask me if I had ghostwritten like Prince Harry, but no, I did write it myself.
It is a fantastic book and has turned into a beautiful series. Like, it's poignant and it's funny.
4, 3. VOCM on the spot news at the liquor store where the scene is sobering.
There's so much to ask you about, but let me start with this. Your old family home has been recreated for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, scenes from your childhood, your family. What's it like to recreate all those scenes from your childhood?
It's really, it's bizarre because it's, my family home hasn't been there since like the mid-90s, right? Mom and Dad are no longer there. And I kind of sketched out what the house was like, and it had to be kind of small, and it was right next to this radio station. And our art department kind of did it pretty authentically. And then I had my dad's kind of clothes he wore, and I showed them pictures, and they're like, okay, we got similar fabric, and we've recreated his outfits. I'm like, well, I'm not Churchill. Like, nobody's gonna know, It's not like, oh, that's not what was worn during the Blitz. So I was like, well, but it's so strange. I'm wearing my dad used to wear this red VOCM jacket to work as part of the news team. They all wore red jackets, and so I had Dad's jacket, and I had his gold patches on that, and I'm wearing a recreation, but with Dad's actual buttons and patches on it. So sometimes I'll be sitting at the kitchen table, and over here is furniture that was actually in our dining room growing up. The radio on the counter is the one from my childhood home, because I kept a bunch of this stuff. And I'll look down at myself, and peripheral vision, I'm home, and I'm in my father's body, and I think, what the hell have you done, you madman? It's kind of strange. Action!
Oh, hell of an article here about the feds. Scissors?
It can be melancholy at times, because you miss them and stuff like that. But then I'll hear, Malcolm and Benjamin laughing or whatever, and I realize they're gone, the house is gone, we have this other shell of a place, and now we're filling it up with new memories, and it moves on. And that's a big theme of the show, onwards. You keep going forward.
Mark Critch live on the scene at Coleman's Grocery in St. John.
So Mike Critch, famous newsman, you must have thought about this. What would he be thinking of this program, your portrayal of him?
I think Dad would be equal parts delighted and mortified, right? He would, did you have to make it so small? Did you have to talk about that? The house, your mother could be dressed a little nicer, hey? And why did you say I couldn't get a raise? But he'd be going around in St. John saying, did you see the kids' show last night? Pretty good, huh? And I've been making fun of Dad. I mean, I first made fun of Dad when I was 15, when I rented out a local theater called the LSPU Hall, Longshoremen's Protective Union. And I wore that Dad's red jacket and did an impression of Dad, and the audience loved it. And I've been doing the same thing since I was 15. And you make fun of your parents, you make fun of your teachers. I'm still doing that. And then, at some point, the principal of the school becomes the prime minister. So it's always just been, I'm doing the same thing I was doing when I was 15, just making fun of the powerful people in my life.
Because I didn't do my homework.
We feel like we know the young you from your book and from the show. And I wonder about the young Mark Critch. What could he even have dreamed that the adult would be doing this job now? What would he have thought?
The fact that I would be talking about my family and have a show I couldn't even have imagined that. And every now and then, I mean, it hits you it's a job, you're going forward. Every now and then you stop and go, oh wow, that's so strange. I couldn't have imagined things working out better at that age, you know. I would have been happy just to be doing kids' birthday parties. I just wanted to get on stage.
Everything about you is so unique. You're a Newfoundlander. You've got 2 primetime shows. One of them is being shot in Halifax. You've got 2 books. What's next? What's your plan?
I've never had a plan. I've kind of like let life happen, you know. I kind of follow and go forward and find out what's interesting. I always assumed at different points, well, it's not going to get better than this, right? Like I was making a living in St. John's. When I got this, I was 28. At that point, I thought, okay, well, it's not going to, I'm making a living. Okay, I can keep food on the table. Okay, it's not going to get better than this. And I got 22, and I thought, well, it's not going to get better than this. And then now the books and the other TV show, I mean, I could never have imagined that. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine it getting better than this. But I still want to try new things because I didn't think any of this would work. So give it a shot. If you fail, who cares? It's Canada. No one will even know if you're successful, let alone if you fail. How are they going to find out?
Well, we all know you're a funny guy. You're an immensely talented guy in so many ways, so you deserve it all. So good for you.
Thank you. And you're not doing so bad for an East Coast young fella either, eh?
Oldest guy in the room.
Oldest guy in the room, right? It's our time.